Hi there. It's getting close to the end of the year, and I wanted to make sure and let everyone that's interested have a chance to see the Presto Avenue Designs Block of the Month quilt for 2023. Every month for 2023 on my newsletter under Block of the Month quilt or blocks, you have been able to download either a block or 2 blocks to make this quilt. And this month there were directions for finishing the quilt, so I thought I would make sure let everyone know about it, so that if you're interested you can go to PrestoAvenueDesigns.com, look under newsletter, and you can find this Block of the Month quilt. The name of the quilt is A Good Life, or It's a Good Life. At one time we had several different names, but one of the more interesting names was Life Behind Bars. But we've discarded that one, and we're just calling it It's a Good Life. I originally wanted to pick different blocks that were that made me think of different times in a life, and especially in a quilter's life. Then as I went to pick the blocks, I was going by their names, and I liked some of their names, and but I realized that a few of the blocks were getting a little too difficult. I don't really want to have difficult blocks, so I kept it to blocks that were simple enough to make and might be something that you could relate to in your life. There are 16 blocks that are different blocks. They're all, each month they finish at 16 and a half, so that when you're all done, it's a 16, not 16 and a half, don't believe me. It's a 12 and a half block each month, so that when it's finished, this is 12 and a half. Then there are these blocks. These are these alternate blocks. There are 9 of those. They are called spinning strips blocks. So 16 that are blocks within a striped frame, and 9 that are spinning strips blocks. The 16 all have this frame around them, and I used a striped fabric. Of course you can pick any fabric that you like, but I thought a striped fabric, if you use the same striped fabric all the way through, it sort of helps build a little unity in your quilt. I also used the striped fabric, as you can see, in the inner border. I used, I think, 3 different values of blue as I designed the quilt. The darker blue, there's a medium blue, and then there's, well, here's a medium blue, and then there's very light blue. And here's a very light blue. You wouldn't have to have 3, but I have several different whites for the backgrounds of the blocks, and you can think about that. If you want to have all of your blocks in a dark background, fine. I would just, as I'm designing or as I'm thinking about making a quilt, I always just want to have contrast. So make sure, if you can, that you can have some contrast with your blocks. The quilt finishes at about 78 inches, which is a little bigger than I had originally planned, because it doesn't fit as well on some of my walls. But a lot of people want a bigger quilt for a bed, and if you wanted to do that, it would be very easy to just expand and make these outer borders a few inches bigger, and you would have a good bed-size quilt. So this is called It's a Good Life. Right now, through the end of 2023, if you go on my website, you can download the blocks for free, and have something to keep you busy next year, if you haven't started already. If you wait around until next year, then this will probably be a pattern that you will have to pay money for. So I thought I'd give you a chance right now to make your own. It's a good life. And oh, I can't wait. I hope to see some really interesting, neat quilts from everyone after they have their blocks all done and put together. The blocks are not terribly hard to make, and the borders are not difficult either. So I thought it was a pretty fun block to make, and oh, I even used the stripe on the binding. So check it out if you're interested, and you can make a good life quilt for yourself.